Well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Slay, and I'm here to talk about week 11. First, I want to apologize for posting late. I had half of the things done last week, and then I got sick and did not follow through and finish up. So I'm even apologize for being a little bit nasally, but medicine is a wonderful thing to have around. And when you get the right ones, it makes all the difference in the world. So here I am. So let's talk a little bit about this week's work. I think you should be seeing it right now on the screen. You should see where it says week 11. This week, our focus is on reading motivation. And there's not a lot for you to do. You're going to be a little overwhelmed and go, whoa, what's up with all those assignments? These are things that are ongoing that I have posted previously. And so I wanted to just include them for easy access. So really, you'll see just two new things here in this list. So let's start at the top right up here. There's no Thursday check-in this week. I think you have plenty to do, and I know you're doing your work when you're involved and you're here and you're doing the stuff that you need to do. So it says to watch the videos for the writing workshop presentations that were already posted. And so by the end of the week, I think that's by Sunday the 31st, I'm trying to extend things as much as I can to give you latitude to juggle all the many things you have going on between this course and other things in your life. And of course, I do know that it is Easter weekend. So this one's been up there for a little while, so that's why I posted Sunday, so that not everything is due on the 1st. If you need more time, please let me know, and I think we can come to some reasonable agreements. But be sure that you are looking at the Padlet and I believe there's an assignment there to um, do the assignments that you guys had posted on the various videos and for the course Padlet. And that will give you an opportunity to give each other some feedback, but also go through the work that's involved in your very hard work that you put into those videos and see some other examples of writing workshops. The alternative to that is those of you who were able to attend the Bill Martin Jr. Symposium. I saw a couple of you there, and that was this past Saturday. So if you attended, but you did not receive the CPE certificate, please let me know. I'll look at our list of evaluations that you were required to do in order to be able to receive that certificate and show your attendance and make sure that I didn't make a mistake. But that's the option too. If you're not going to do those Padlet assignments, to be able to do that for that particular writing workshop. The second thing is reading motivation. I'm going to walk through that. And then the assessment project, which I presented last week. So the video is still there, should you need to see it and find out what's going on. So let's scoot on down right now. And then I just posted some of the most recent thing. The newest thing up here is that there's going to be this scenario and the blog post, each trying to break it up so there's only one thing due each week at the end of the week. So reading motivation, this is a huge topic. There's studies and lots of information about motivating readers. And I think it's one of the biggest challenges for teachers. One of the things that I want you to think about is the fact that we spend a lot of time, and we have in our courses talked about strategy and skills. We talk, well, how do you teach reading? Well, the science of reading teach us about how to teach kids to actually read? And then, of course, at the end of the day, it's all about comprehension. And what does writing have to do with all of that? How do they all interact to develop our literate students and give them the confidence and the agency, or what we also call self-efficacy in reading? That's kind of tied up into motivation. So I want you to think about motivation from a different lens, and not just this is a skill of reading or it's just a skill of comprehension. I think you'll find that there's an overlap and interaction between all of those things. Some of you might be able to reflect on your own journeys as readers and think, okay, I loved reading until such and such happened. I was a great reader and I loved reading when I could manage it when I was a kid, and then middle school hit and my motivation dived. That's not unusual, or dove. Then I had that one particular teacher in high school that really got me hooked on reading. And so my motivation went way up. Or I didn't learn to love reading until I was an adult. Or these are the things that created challenges for me, which made it more challenging for me to be motivated and an engaged reader. So there is something to be said for the comparison between what is reading motivation or what is a motivated reader and an engaged reader. So this is the discussion and the topic that I want you to think about this week. So I want you to think about someone you might know, student, self, yourself, friend, family, who is both motivated and or unmotivated to read. I should put or in that document. What does a motivated reader look like? Let me see if I can put that in there right now. But you are going to be thinking about both sides. That's what I wanted you to think, what I meant. What does a motivated reader look like? What does an unmotivated reader look like? There's the two sides. That comes from a strategy. I'm trying to think of the guy, but I used to do it all the time in school, where we think about what does something look like and what does it not look like when you're showing both sides. And that really helps you to think about a full element of the topic. And it's a strategy or a framework that we use often when we're trying to learn something. What are the signs and behaviors and impact of both sides of reading motivation? We have spent a lot of time, as I just said, exploring basic reading skills and reading comprehension, but less time talking about motivating readers to read, or I should say students to read. See what happens when you read your own work. What exactly is reading motivation and why is it important? Use the space below to respond to some of these questions by posting your thoughts on both sides of the chart. And here's the chart. Click in a box, type your thoughts in a new row to separate the responses. Here's a tech tip. If you click in the last box on the last row and then use the key tab, it will add a new row. So let me show you what that is. I put in enough rows for everybody to respond, but every now and then somebody wants a new one. So here you click in the last row in the chart and you click tab, and you now have added a row. That way we're not scrunching all our responses inside one particular box. I'm going to delete it because I just added enough rows for each one, or you can just simply tab in the boxes or click. I'm using my mouse to click to move from one what we call cell. Each of these is a cell to the next. You just use the tab key. It allows you to function easily in a table. Some of you may have known that, so sorry to take the time, but some of you might have found that useful, I hope. So I recommend that you put one thought or one responder in one box. And please do type your name after your response. Just put it in parentheses so you can give yourself credit for the work that you're doing. If you put something in this box, you do not have to write your answer in this box on the other side. These two columns don't have to line up, but you do need to respond to these questions on either side, on both sides. So this is meant to be like a what do you know, I'm a brain dump, I'm tapping into your schema. It's to get your heads primed and to think about this concept of reading motivation, because I suspect that you've all had some experience with this in your lifetime as students. The texts we read often affect our motivation. Our goals affect our motivation. I should stop talking because I'm going to give you too much information. There may be other factors, but I've gotten you kind of started to think about that. Don't be afraid to respond. So if somebody types something, if I have words here, so I'm going to type something up here. Maybe I should do that. I should just type something. The texts we read impact or affect our motivation. I should say the kinds of texts we read impact our motivation. Sometimes I know of people who lost their motivation to read when they were forced to read books for school. And the key word there is forced. I just made a mistake. I think it says who lost. Okay, there we go. So let's say I wanted to make a comment to this, or I agree or disagree. What I do is I highlight this, and notice on the right-hand side these little icons. So you click on the top on the square, or on the plus is what I meant to say. And here you write your comment. I'm going to write a comment. Had a friend who pursued a doctorate in reading because she was that student. So there's an opportunity for you to engage in some rich and robust discussion here, which I hope you will do, and that's the point. If we were in a regular classroom, we'd be having this in person, but we're not, so I'm hoping that this is the next best thing. So I'm using this framework called the adaptive action. It's based on the inquiry cycle, and you'll notice that, let's see, let me scroll up. I start with what and an overarching question. So here's the what part of the adaptive cycle. Then you move into the next part, which is the so what. So you're going to see a pattern: what, so what, now what. So what can I learn about motivating readers? So I don't expect that you have all these answers, and these might be some really relevant questions to your practice as a future teacher. So I provided you with some materials. It looks like a lot, but they're short. The hardest one, honestly, and I put it first because it is the hardest one, get it over with. Feel free to talk with your teammates, others with it. It's an article on, it's more of a research article. Let's see if I can pull it up. Notice it might take you to having to log in. Let's see if it works. Good test. How motivation fits into a science of reading. So read this article. It's not long. You can choose to download it, which makes it much easier, or to view it as a PDF makes it easier for you to read than the way that I just presented it. So you'll see it's 1, 2, and there's a nice cool diagram that really gives you some ideas. So you get the more of the scientific version and how motivation is a really important topic. There's some big words and scientific words in here that you might go, oh, that's going to distract me. It might be a good an example of how the type of text that you read influence your motivation to read. This is not something you want to read lightly, because you just got to have a fresher brain when you're reading text like this. But you notice it's not very long, and it's actually the introduction to a whole journal on reading motivation. So if you want to do that, you got to go backwards if you want to explore more of it and read that source that I wanted to also give you. But it's something to think about and get your head primed around some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. And I want you to recognize too that I'm asking you questions that have been researched, and there is research to publish to support these topics. A lot of times I get from teachers or experienced teachers, especially when they're looking at the science of teaching reading, and they're learning new things that are more current, and they're saying, oh, I am so sad because there's no research to support these old ways. Well, I'm going to tell you straight up front, that's not true. There is a lot of research. It's just some people choose to read research more carefully or to think about it in more depth and than others. I'm going to stop on that topic because I don't want to get sidetracked, but I do want to show you that here, that was the first article. And the second one is something a little bit more user-friendly and practitioner-friendly. You'll see it's how to develop a love of reading, and you'll find anything by Edutopia, I think you would love. It's a good teacher friendly site. Same thing goes with anything from reading rockets. So you read that article. I think you'll find that kind of interesting. I think that's the same guy you'll see in this last video. He's a published author. He's a kids author. You'll recognize him when you see his name, maybe from the books that maybe you were exposed to. Here's another quick Edutopia one. So these are some ways to cultivate reading, the love of reading in students. And then that's a video, and this is a video. So these are short. And I don't think it should take you too much time, other than that first one will be more challenging, to get your head wrapped around some proven tips and things that other people have written about reading motivation. So after you've done that, you don't have to post anything else in this document unless you want to. But at that point, you've covered the material. I've only left it in this document. I thought it would be easier to keep it self-contained. Then I want you to go back to D2L and post in the discussion board. Now, what have I learned about it, and where will it lead me to in the decisions that I'm going to make as a classroom teacher? So here's your opportunity to show what you've learned. And I put it back into D2L so you can get the proper credit that you need. And then, of course, that's a little bit more formal than this informal discussion that we started for reading motivation. But that's our topic right there. And I hope you will find it interesting and useful. So there's the discussion board. You'll see it looks a little bit like this. What happened? Okay, let me go back. It's in there. I've done something wrong, so let me correct that, but I'm not going to take time on this video to make sure that it is properly available to you, but that's where you're going to post reading motivation. It's a discussion post. Scenario 1, let's talk about that one really quick. Now, notice that the reading motivation, I give you until Monday. I'm giving you, actually, I would have given you until Friday to do that, but due to my error and my fault in opening this module a little late, I decided to give you a few more days and hope that won't interfere with your schedules too much. So the second assignment that I want to introduce and get you to start thinking about is the scenario assignment. You're going to have two. One now, it'll be like a dry run. It'll be an opportunity for you to think in terms of specific scenarios, very specific application exercises, and start to draw in a lot of the material that you've covered, because we've covered a lot of content. And so here it is. It's also in a document that's already in D2L, the ideal literacy classroom. So here it is. You've been assigned to a fourth grade classroom. And let me make it bigger for both of us. Okay. And the school you will be responsible for is a 90-minute literacy block. That's not unusual. I taught most of my career in 90-minute literacy blocks. I love it. I love it much more than the 45-minute. And it will be held 3 times a week. Oof, I did mine 5 days a week, once every day. You have 25 students in your classroom that consist of 14 girls and 11 boys. Your students are of several diverse cultural and linguistic backgrounds: 6 African American, 3 Mexican, 6 Asian, 1 African, 1 Brazilian, and 7 white students. Think about that, Brazilian versus Mexican. Of those students who are emergent, 2 of those are emergent English learners. So they're bilingual. You may have 3 bilinguals, but 2 of them have less knowledge of the English language. In relation to this scenario and using your knowledge of writer's workshop, so you got to go back and think about that writing work that you have done, writer's workshop, and research-based writing practices. Go back and use the book that we have. Write a 1 to 2 page, at least 1 page, reflection explaining how writing workshop could benefit this class described above. Your thought could focus on describing the following. Excuse me. Here's that junk that I've been fighting. I'll try to do it after our talk. What would you do to build a writing community in your classroom? Share specific ideas. How would you structure a writer's workshop? Think about time, workshop components. We've covered all of these various different things. Hopefully some of you, the lesson structures will help you. What skills would you focus on? And what would you do to ensure that you are meeting the needs of all students? So really reread this, break this down to think about how you would answer these questions. And then here's a little bit of a grading rubric to help you with that. And hopefully I can give you some feedback on this. When we do the second one, I might try to bring in some more discussion so that this will prepare you for a very final assignment. And a lot of times on your tests that you're going to be taking, your competency tests, they frame the questions similar to this. They frame them in a classroom and they give you a scenario of students. So this is a great opportunity for you to practice that. Let's go back. Whoops, not there. Let's go back to, oh, okay. No, that's where the assignment was originally posted. I'm going to go back down to content. Get back to module 11, which is where we're at, week 11. And so there's the content for reading motivation. Here's the discussion forum scenario 1. And oh, I didn't put a due date. So I need to put the due date. I put it in the assignment, but I did not put it on here. So I'm going to fix that. And then you have the assessment project and the dyslexia training, and you can see those dates are further in ahead, but this one's already been assigned. If I've made any mistakes or a confusion on any of these assignments, let me know sooner than later so that you don't get caught up in a last minute rush and it becomes challenging because I need to help you, which I'm willing to do in any way possible. So let me know how things are going and good luck with this week's work. I look forward to hopefully seeing you in office hours. I will have those on Thursday, so feel free to drop in for any kind of clarifications that you'd like to have in person. And have a wonderful rest of the week. And happy Easter to you all. Thank you, and have a great day. Bye-bye. See, I gotta stop this. Here we go.